My name is Kelly White. I'm the co-founder and chief executive officer of Illume Projects. Illume Projects is a project management consulting group. We work primarily with nonprofit executive directors and small business owners to help them save time and work more effectively. The main ways we do this are through project planning, process improvement, operations support, and consulting. A little bit more about me. I'm a certified project manager from PMI. I've worked as a certified project manager since about 2007. I started formally doing project management for my profession starting at about 2000. My career has been almost 20 years at this point. I started out working in scientific publishing, and then I switched to working for e-learning companies. I've worked for medical software companies, online medical communication companies. Other things that I do, I believe in giving back. So there is a local PMI group here in Ithaca that some of you may be interested in, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. I also do a lot of work with nonprofits in my consulting work, and I chair the board of the Ithaca Health Alliance, which is a local nonprofit in town that runs the free clinic down on Seneca Street. Some of you may know where that is. What I want to talk about is a case study. So, has everyone heard of Jaws? Okay, I'm not dating myself too much. What is this movie about? Anyone? Yes?
Sharks attacking and
Right.
eating.
Right. These terrible, ferocious sharks, right? And the shark even has its own theme song, right? So you know when the shark is coming. And there's a scene in the film, the first time the shark is ever on film, you sort of just see it point its snout out of the top of the water, and then it sinks back down. And one of the fishermen turns, and this line was actually ad-libbed in the film. He says, "You're going to need a bigger boat. If this is the shark that's in the water surrounding us, we're going to need a bigger boat in order to accomplish our task here." And I want to peel the curtain behind this film a little bit. I recently came across this book. It's not about the shark. And there's a reading that I sent to Gilly with slides for today. If you're interested in this, take a look at this reading. The film almost never happened. I don't know if there's any film buffs in here, but the shark was very poorly designed. Let's just put it that way. So there was a lot of risk on this project. Something of the scale and scope of a mechanical shark like this had not been built before for a film. So there was very little historical knowledge to draw from. And the engineers, when they were designing the shark, did all their testing in a freshwater tank. So when they got ready to actually film and they were out in the ocean in salt water, guess what happened to the shark? It had mechanical malfunctions all over the place. So as a project manager, do you think they did the best job they could of handling risk in this situation? Probably not. When you see the film at the end, the director, Steven Spielberg, said, "We can't just tank this film. We need to move on. We need to reframe the situation here and make the best that we can out of it." So for those of you that have seen the film, it's all about a shark, right? But how long is the shark actually on the screen? Just a few minutes. And the way the risk was reframed for this film was we have a mechanical shark that really doesn't work. So what we're going to do is reframe the way we approach this film and create the illusion of the shark so that it's constantly present. You hear the theme music. You see the red blood in the water, right? There's a lot of suspense that gets built up. And I think the way it turned out was very effective, considering when you realize what happened with that mechanical shark and how it was working or not working. So I think this is a really interesting case study because things like this will happen on your projects. You make an assumption that your mechanical shark or your prototype or your algorithm is going to function in a certain way. And when you get it into a testing environment, have you ever been surprised that, oh, this is not what I expected? So you're kind of faced with a couple of options. Do you abandon your project, or do you go back and reframe the situation and try to better manage that risk? When I talk about risk, there's a few different definitions of it. The one I'd like to share with you, this is the PMBOK version. PMBOK is the Project Management Body of Knowledge. And it's simply this: a risk is an uncertain event or condition that, if it occurs, has a positive or negative effect on your project, on those objectives that you're trying to deliver on. And what's important to remember here is that risk is not always a bad thing, right? There are lots of opportunities that risks present to us, and the important thing is that as project managers, we're able to recognize those opportunities and take action on them. Part of the responsibility for the project manager is to really identify your risks, manage them, and mitigate them the best that you can. So for any of folks in the room who are thinking about pursuing more professional careers in project management, there's a whole science of risk management that falls underneath project management. For those of you who might be thinking about becoming credentialed as a PMP, there's also another credential for risk management underneath that. So it's really quite a complex discipline, and the larger and more complex your project, the more risks you will have, and the more time as a project manager you will need to spend on managing those risks. This ties into the idea of the triple constraint. Some people in project management like to call this the iron triangle. Basically what it refers to is, for any kind of project, you have these limitations, three main limitations that you're working with. You want to stay on budget, you want to stay on scope, and you want to stay on time. And as we heard from the JAWS case study, it's very difficult to do all three of those things. So as a project manager, you need to be ready to make some trade-offs. So some of you have adjusted the scope of your project, right? Some of you might have adjusted the timeline. And a lot of people say there isn't any way to make something cheaper, better, faster. You only have 2 out of 3 choices to make. So as project managers, it puts you in a pretty unique position of recommending what do you think are those best trade-offs to take for your project.
Okay, thank you, Kelly.